Hey there, followers and subscribers and general horse friends. I've had the topic of spurs and whips come up a few times lately, so I thought I'd just do a quick little video on when to use them, why, and which ones. So a lot of times when people say, they're thinking about using a spur, they're not always really sure about it, because there's some negative connotations with using spurs, that kind of thing. And spurs are perfectly fine if you have an independent leg. A lot of the times, though, people don't have an independent leg. So if you need a spur because you just can't get your horse going, I feel like if you really had control of your energy and had control of your leg, you could probably get your horse going without the spur. So at that point, I'd prefer dressage whip, and I'll tell you why here in a few minutes. If you do have an independent leg and you're wanting to use a spur, maybe because you're just starting second level and you need that little extra something to help you get the haunches over and haunches in, or to lift your horse a little bit here and there, that's fine. And that's an okay time to put on a spurs, when it's for refinement, but not when it's just go already. So if you need a horse to just go, I prefer dressage whip. And the biggest reason for that is if you don't have an independent leg and you use a spur, your horse is going to pay the price. If you don't have an independent hand, your horse is paying the price already. If you think it's difficult to carry a dressage whip, that you just kind of can't manage all of it, then most likely it's because you don't have a good hand position or don't have an independent hand. So in that case, holding a dressage whip, just the act of holding it, is going to point out to you that your hand is in the incorrect position. Maybe your hands move around a little bit. Maybe when you're posting the trot, maybe one or both of your hands come up and down with you in the post, and that whip is moving all over the place. That's a great way to know that you need to work on your hands. Maybe at that point carry around 2 whips, that's going to help fix your hands. So if you really just need your horse to go, I would say grab a dressage whip. Grab 2 dressage whips. It's going to make you a better rider just having them in your hands. And grab a whip that's long enough that you can tappy behind your leg without moving your hand all over the place. Don't grab a whip that's so long that if you just move your hand a little bit, that's touching the horse when you don't want to. So if you're at the point that you're looking for some refinement and you're going to grab a spur, then you get to pick your spur. Everybody seems to say, oh, I would just want to get a little mild, short spur. And here's the problem, is these ones are really pokey. If you put these kind of spurs on, they're real short. These ones are actually fairly blunt. They even got like this nice little rounded sort of back end to them. But here's the thing, these still poke. And because they're so short, you can't feel it very well. Whereas if you get like, these are called an impulse spur, but there's, other brands too. These ones are a little bit of a longer shank. And actually, I'd prefer even a longer shank than this yet. This is still kind of short. If you get the ones that are out to here, if you push on that, it kind of moves the base of the spur, and you can feel that against your boot. So you actually know when you're using it. So this little ball on the end, or actually even a rowel. A rowel can actually be, a smooth rowel, can be much softer than the blunt pokey spur. It doesn't seem that way because you think, ouch, that rowel is sharp. But the nice thing about the rowel is it moves, and it swivels, and it pivots, and it even kind of comes back and forth a little bit. So it's not so pokey because it's almost like it touches first before it jabs. Whereas the little pokey spurs are just pokey. There's not really a touch and then a jab. It's just kind of a jab. Whereas a rowel, sometimes you can also hear it on your boot. So when you touch your horse with it, you know it because you hear it. And if you have a longer shank, it'll move the base of the spur on your boot and you can feel it. So if you are new to spurs, don't make the mistake of grabbing the short ones. I know it seems like that would be the most mild spur, but it's really not. Grab a longer neck, preferably with a ball on the end or even a rowel, and try using that for your first spur. But if you're just having troubles getting the horse to go, grab some dressage whips. So, all right, I hope that helps you guys out. You know, maybe that's something you hadn't given a whole lot of thought to before, or, you know, if you never used a spur, you don't know what it feels like until you've used them. So yeah, even if your horse doesn't need a dressage whip, maybe just grab one to see if, you know, you can hold an independent hand. If your horse is afraid of a dressage whip, that's an even better reason to use one. Don't allow them to live in fear. And the other thing with the dressage whip is you don't have to whack with it. You can touch with it, you can even press with it. A lot of people don't think about pressing with the dressage whip, but if you just press the whip against them almost like you would a soft calf, you can move them over off of that. And if your horse is a little intimidated by the dressage whip, I would start off by pressing with the whip often. Like, use it as your primary aid instead of your leg, until the horse learns that, oh, okay, it's not that big of a deal. If every time you use the dressage whip you're tap, 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 whack, 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 then no wonder your horse is afraid of the thing. So teach them that you can press with the whip, and it can be a very mild, sort of dull, you know, touch. And that'll help your horse a lot to respect the whip in a good, healthy way instead of fear and being reactive. All right, guys, let me know how it works out for you. All right, talk to y'all later. Bye.